Howdy, y'all! 2015 has come to a close a few days ago, but this is the list now, okay? Hey, it's a lot better than, like, the March that I got it up of last year. On the whole, I gotta say, 2015 was pretty disappointing. There were not near... Usually, like, if you go back to 2012 and 2013... if I had had a YouTube channel back then, the list would have been full of 9s and 10s. And because of that, this top 10 list was probably the hardest one I've ever had to make. Like, I'm like, alright, I had like 12 movies, but like, I had like the 4 that I thought deserved to be on the top 10 list, and then a bunch below that, and I'm like, are these even worthy to be on the list? Is that even fair? Should I just shorten the list, or would I come off as really douchey? And then the top 2, I was like, It was really hard to decide, but... here it is. Alright, you know how in other top 10 lists, everyone's all like, oh, the grade, the score I gave, that doesn't matter here. These are my top 10 lists. I think that's just a way of saying you gave movies grades they didn't deserve. I don't grade a movie on how good it was. I grade a movie on how much I liked it, which I think, for my opinion, is how good it was. And now that said, that's not going to happen in this list because I totally gave movies grades they didn't deserve this year. Sorry. My standards for 8 have gone up over time. And there are movies I've watched the second time, like, that was not nearly as good as it was the first time. But as of right now, these are the order I would keep these movies in. But it is time. What? Something changed? Yeah, I know it did, because clearly I can't make up my mind. Okay, I don't have a review up for this movie yet because I just saw it last night on demand, but it absolutely deserves a spot on the list. But nobody panic, because it's all part of the plan. It's a small, independent drama called Meadowland. I know most of you are going, what? That's not one of the movies that's been on everybody else's top 10 list. Well, what is this? It's about a couple who loses their kid, kind of like in Prisoners, except that they never find it. And then it just has them going on, like, with their lives and dealing with it after that. And I know it doesn't sound very interesting, but it's not the Oscar bait trauma fest like in Southpaw. It's a very subtle, quiet movie. It's got a lot of scenes of just Olivia Wilde in a yellow hoodie just walking around the city with like music playing. And it works. That should be boring, but it isn't. Some of you are going to be bored for sure, but it's only 90 minutes and it's just, I want you to give it a try. I want you to give it a shot with no expectations going in, and I think you could really like it. I saw it less than 12 hours ago, and I can tell you right now, it's one of my favorite movies of the year. It's an emotionally draining movie with some amazing music and just, I mean, I want to say like, it's beautiful, but I also don't want to be completely gay. Great movie. Crimson Peak was very poorly advertised. It's not a horror movie, and the lead character sucks. But it has some of, like, the best music and the best atmosphere and the best, like, it feels like a book. It really does. I wish I'd said this in my original review. It feels like a gothic kind of romancy, mystery, ghosty horror book. It feels like old English literature, and I really like that aspect of it a lot. Tom Hiddleston's really good, Jessica Chastain's really good, the lead character is awful. I really loved the feel of the movie. And yeah, there's one obnoxiously loud jump scare. I mean, I did see it in IMAX, and my theater has it cranked up the volume, but there's a lot of good combined visuals of like creepy, gross stuff and just like beautiful life things, and just, this is a visually gorgeous movie, and I love the feel of it, and I love the ending. It was so good. Number 8 was a cute, heartwarming, adorable movie, and that would be The Peanuts. I went into this movie hating Charlie Brown like everybody else did. I was like, you deserve this, you turd, you're always messing everything up. And I came out of this movie feeling bad for him and like being happy that he succeeded. And it's just this cute little story about him falling in love with a girl, and it was adorable, and I really liked the animation quality, and it was just, I liked it a lot. Avengers Age of Ultron. Nobody had this on their list this year. Everybody was like, oh, awesome-tacular, and then they completely forgot about it. So that's what I have a problem with. I have a problem when you give a movie your highest rating and then give movies their second highest rating above that. That bugs me, even though that's what I'm doing. But I'm admitting that I messed up. I'm having some integrity and some honesty. I just bought this on Blu-ray and I just watched it again, and that's why it's so far down on the list. It was like, there are parts of this movie where I'm like, That line doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? That was stupid. Why don't you just do this? That would fix this whole thing. Hulk had perfect control of his anger in the first Avengers, and now suddenly he doesn't and needs a lullaby. And at the same time, he can take and receive orders while in Hulk form. Like, really? Something else I really take back is the romance between Scarlett Johansson and Hulk. That was super forced. That didn't make any sense at all. I'm sorry. I apologize for my blindness seeing that the first time. I think the quips get a bit obnoxious from time to time, but Thor and Iron Man are still really cool, and their character banter is great, and the action is awesome. The Hulkbuster fight is insane. Andy Serkis, I forgot to talk about him. He was cool. Ultron was not a very scary, threatening villain, but he was a very entertaining villain, and I think that can also work. Vision is also a great character. That scene with the hammer is great. Though I also said in my review it had perfect, flawless CGI, and it absolutely didn't. I watched it again, and when Thor has that eye beam and he's whacking people in the first fight scene, that looks like, that's awful. Like, why did they just have, like, a rubber thing that he actually hits people with? It is so obviously CGI. And at the end, when they're lifting up the aisle and they're like, we won't all make it through this. Needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. What I feel should have happened is that Ultron flipped the switch early, and it was going to come down, and they couldn't get all the civilians off in time. They got some of them, but not all of them. And Captain America's still on there. He's trying to save civilians. I mean, he happens to be on the boat because he's pulling someone back. And Hawkeye's already on the boat, and he sees that kid, and he runs on to get the kid, and immediately at that time, Thor and Iron Man make the executive decision to blow up the city to save everybody. And they kill hundreds of civilians and Hawkeye. And screw stupid Quicksilver. His death was meaningless because he was a stupid character. And then Captain America will be like, wait, what? And then when Iron Man comes back, Iron Man's got tears in his eyes, and Captain America is just on him. And he's like, we could have saved them. We still had time. And Iron Man's like, it was them or the whole fucking world. And then you get like this really intense, good scene. One, that sets up Civil War perfectly, and two, it makes this movie have a lot more gravity than it does when just everybody gets off safe and happy, the end. It would give a lot of universe progression for the MCU that I think it sorely needs. I think that would have been a much better ending. But also, at the end, when they're like, we gotta whip these new Avengers into shape, and it shows, I don't know who that was, but it was not Scarlet Witch. It's like Asian, like, who the hell is that? Mad Max Fury Road. Yes, I gave this an 8 and I gave Avengers a 9, and this is above Avengers. Precisely why I said Avengers does not deserve a 9. I'm sorry. Mad Max is the coolest car action movie I've ever seen, and it makes Fast and Furious look like live action Hot Wheels. And I cannot believe Fast and Furious made $1 billion and Mad Max didn't. Anybody who thinks Fast and Furious is better than Mad Max is stupid. Anybody who thinks Fast and Furious was better than Mad Max probably also thought Obama was a good president. I gotta say though, I'm not as impressed with Furiosa. Everybody's like, oh, Furiosa's the best character of the year. She needs her own spin-off movie. I'm like, no. But it's a very like novel, contained action movie like The Raid or 300 when it kind of focuses on one thing. I like that. And the action's great. It really is. Overrated at this point? Absolutely. Disney Pixar, Inside Out. Man, this movie was really good. Like, every time they do Goofball Island or the monkey thing, I cringe, but this movie is so good. The Good Dinosaur was certainly a better looking animation, and The Good Dinosaur had a way better short at the beginning. This is definitely a better movie, and it's a more emotionally punching movie. Like, oh my god, Bing Bong. I'm not kidding. Bing Bong was amazing. I was watching this movie again, and I was tired, and I fell asleep, and I woke up right at the Bing Bong part, and I'm like, oh my god, that's not fair, I was not prepared for that. And the moral of this movie, because this whole time I'm like, why don't they just push Sadness off a cliff so she doesn't hurt Riley anymore? Until the moral of the movie hits you, and you're like, oh my god, you need Sadness in your life. That is so good. And that little piano thing, ding, 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 ding. The Revenant. Like I said, haven't seen it a second time yet. I'm not sure, and that's why I can't get it to 9. But, oh my god, gritty, intense, realistic, brutal Leonardo DiCaprio in the snowy mountains with guns and Indians, and it's... The first time you see this movie, you're going to be blown away. And it's also like the most breathtakingly, gorgeously shot movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Not a lot of dialogue, and it's a bit too long, but the ambient score is good, and the feel and the tone of the movie is perfect. Everybody else had this at number 1. It's not as good as it could have been, and it has some issues, but it's still great fun. Star Wars The Force Awakens. I probably have that lower on my list than everybody else on YouTube. Rey is awesome. BB-8 is awesome. Han Solo is awesome. Kylo Ren is awesome until you know what. His voice is so good. It's like, you've grown old. Something far worse has happened to you. You know what I've come for. The map to Skywalker. I got this thing for Christmas. And man, is it cool. Is this movie too similar to New Hope? Yes. Is this movie kind of a huge tease? Yeah, but there are sequences in here that are so good. The beginning where Poe and Finn escape on the TIE fighter, it's like, whoa, this thing really moves. I bought that, I'm like, boom, that thing looks like it's, and then it comes back and the camera's following it. Like, this is a shot that is glorious and should have been held for like 10 more seconds. And they're going under the cruiser and they shoot at the guns and they explode. The camera bobs a little on the explosion and then it holds steady. You can have your camera do this, but you can't have your camera do this. This movie also has the worst 3D I've ever seen in my entire life. I work at the theater, and we had several people come out nauseous, asking for a refund. The lightsaber fight wasn't the best, but when Rey is piloting the Millennium Falcon and it goes, it goes into Star Destroyer, and the TIE Fighter shoots the thing, and there's an explosion next to it, that's when the camera goes... That's what I like. That is what looks good. That scene is so good. Some pretty stupid stuff in here, but still an outrageously entertaining movie. Star Wars The Force Awakens. These two were so hard. I was like, and now you probably know what they both are, but you still don't know which order they're going to be in. But once I say number 2, you're going to know number 1. Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino. Other people had this criminally low on their list. This movie was so good. Is it Tarantino's best movie? No. The dialogue is so good, and the tone and the music is so good. Kurt Russell in this movie, probably my favorite character the whole year. Hold it right there, black fella. And take those 2 guns of yours and put them on that rock over yonder. Then put your hands way above your hat. Then you approach, molasses-like, and his mustache is amazing. It's not his best script, and it's not his best movie. Compared to the other Tarantino movies, it's not that good. But compared to the average movie, it's amazing. And there are things in this movie that you won't get in other Tarantino movies. It is a fresh, new movie. It's not like Inglourious Basterds 3. Not the most perfect movie, not the most mature movie, but my favorite movie, Dragon Ball Z, Resurrection F. Man, the movie was cool! I saw this and Hateful Eight twice, and I already want to see them both again. This movie is what anime in 2015 should be. The sound design with the giant beam attacks is amazing. It is visually gorgeous. These bright colors are flashing on screen. It's a funny movie, too. And it has Piccolo and Vegeta and all the favorite characters from my childhood are back. And Beerus is awesome. And the music builds up this like really intense thing, and it's just... I'm a fan of Dragon Ball Z more than I am a fan of any other franchise down here. So, is that why it wins? Maybe. Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F is my favorite and the best movie of 2015. Congratulations, you win an award. Here. Have this half-used box of Scotty's. Not even Kleenex. Scotty's like a second-rate box of tissues here. For you. Here you are. That's 2015. Thank you, everybody. It's been a great... No, it really hasn't been a great year. It's been a pretty lame year, actually, comparatively. 2016 is full of superhero movies. That should be awesome. Right, right. Please don't disappoint.